Hello, Steeler Nation, and welcome to the Steel Syndicate podcast post-game show. I'm your host, Britsburgh, and I'm joined all the way from down under, where it is still very early in the morning, by my good buddy, Mark Davison. Mark, how you doing, brother?
I'm bloody fantastic, thank you. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Something positive ahead of tomorrow. So that's good, man. What time is it there, by the way?
It is now 7:21 a.m. I got up at 4 a.m. to watch the game. That was a great game to get up to. We have a lot to talk about. Some good things, some bad things, but some really good things in this game that came away with a clutch win. And we'll go through. I don't know if you want to go through from start to finish with QBs and stuff like that, but I'm excited. That was a really good win today. Really good win.
I think if we go through sort of position group at a time in a minute, but I think we just sort of start off with the general thing. I think one thing that really stood out for me, Mark, is something you just said to me off air there. Was something I was saying on my live stream as well. Today we saw what we've been wanting to see, I think, for weeks now, what we've been demanding to see. Some pride in that black and gold jersey, some heart, some fight, some bottle and some battle from our Steelers. That's what we saw today, Mark. That was my opinion. What was your opinion, Mark?
The players that came out, they stepped up and they played the game the way that they're being coached to play it. Steven Sims was playing with heart. Connor Hayward, heart. A lot of these guys looked like they wanted to be there today. A lot of them did. Now, there were some errors, but they finished the game. And key moments, certain players came in clutch. They wanted this win. They really wanted this win. Now, you got to build off it. And I'm not happy with overall with the Canada offense and stuff like that, but they played to win and they won the game. Like, they played some tremendous football and they played with grit and a bit of integrity today. You know what I'm saying? They played with some integrity.
Do you think that was partly down to the fact that obviously all the criticism, all the words that have been said this week about them in terms of the fact that they didn't have any heart, any passion, any fight. Do you think that really stung them this week, and that's the performance that we got from that?
I think so. I think when someone tells you can't do something, what do you want to do? The exact opposite, right? You want to do it, go and prove them wrong. I think as humans, anyone tells you can't do anything, you think, well, I'm going to show you, mate, and I can. It came to a point, though, I think the secondary played well. Like, guys just stepped up because they had to. You know what I mean? Arthur Millette, those kind of guys, they stepped up because they had to do this. They had to, right? And exactly, Noah says all the years of torment, right? Brady walks away with a loss. There's no way that Brady comes back to Heinz Field in 4 years' time. If he's still playing in 4 years' time or 8 years' time, that's his last game in Heinz Field is a loss for Tom Brady, and that is fantastic. The Ravens lost today. The Browns lost today. The Bengals won, unfortunately, but we're back in the race, the AFC North race. Kenny Pickett got injured, but there's so much to talk about. Overall, a good win, but we did lose Kenny.
Yeah. So say hello to Jay Devlin in the live chat first. He says, and I love this sentiment, Mark. Brady can suck it.
How much of a whinger was he on the sideline? A whinger.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you, Mark, about say hello to Owen Replay or Rifle. I won't get to it, and then obviously to Noah as well. Yeah, did you see that incident? Did you see when he was yelling and shouting at his offensive line?
Terrible, man.
That was vitriolic, man. There was like spit coming out of his mouth.
There's not how you lead people. You lead by example. You don't lead by yelling at someone. Imagine someone yelling at you and telling you what to do all the time like that. And also, he's standing over them, right? Man to man, he's standing over them. You don't do that to someone, man. You're gonna lose. You're gonna lose teammates that way. If I was offensive lineman, I would tell him to go kick rocks and move on. It's not just my fault. It's Brady's fault too. Brady looked off today. He looked real off today, big time. Wasn't the same old Brady.
I know. I mean, I know it's a Steelers podcast, and we'll talk about obviously the position groups in a minute. But to me today, Brady's his passing radar looked way off. Looked really out of kilter today. You know, some of those passes that he threw were pretty shocking, to be honest with you. And there was an incident when he rolled out to his right, I think it was, and it almost reminded me of Ben Roethlisberger last year. You know, like his legs were stuck in tar or treacle. So he did. He looked pretty poor, I thought, today.
Well, the thing is, he's getting older, right? He's getting older. He's 45 years old and he's playing football along with the guys that are younger, that are 20, 22. There's a difference there.
Yeah.
Father Time gets everyone on the field. But he had a bad game and we took advantage of that. And our secondary stepped up, and our defense in times also stepped up too.
Okay, so let's talk through our position groups. Let's talk to the players, obviously that we saw today. Let's start a slightly different place to normal. Let's start with special teams today.
All right,
Rob. Let's start with Stephen Sims. Mark, when he took that long kickoff return, were you like me? Were you thinking he's taking this to the house? Were you screaming at the screen?
Yeah, I was yelling to the house. But congrats to whoever chased him down. The guy who chased him down went to a different gear. Sims was running as fast as he could. Who we do? I've been wearing the beanie now. It's like up, right? Sims was getting running as fast as he could. He ran out of, going 70 yards is still pretty hard. The other guy came from like a standing start or whatever, came back and ran him down. I thought he was going the house. Now we got 3 points. We wanted 7, but 3's okay. 3's okay.
Yeah. I thought overall though, I thought Stephen Sims did a fantastic job on kick return, on punt return, on everything he touched on special teams. He really did do a really good job for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was calling Stephen Sims to start from the very beginning, from the all 53. I had Stephen Sims starting over Gunnar Olszewski. I thought he played better than preseason. I thought he had a bit more speed to him like that. Now they're also running Stephen Sims on those reverses, which we'll talk about the Matt Canada offense too.
Yeah.
Yes, it was good in some aspects, but other aspects, you run a reverse with second and something, I don't know. It was bad that way. But overall, I thought Stephen Sims played well. The Wizard got another kick, 55 yards. The punting was pretty good, in my opinion, too. And the special teams, the kickoff returns, and the defense, they played pretty good today, I think, on teams as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think the special teams did do very well. JJ52, backup secondary MVPs. I think the secondary, and we'll talk about that shortly, about how good our backups in the secondary were. I think if we start with the offense, obviously, I think there are still some overriding concerns there as regards the offense in terms of moving the ball, in terms of punching in the red zone. Mark, I was slightly concerned about their inability to actually punch it in the red zone. And I know Tampa have a very good defense. I understand that, but is that something that still concerns you? That inability to score 7 points when we get down into the red zone?
Yeah, it is. It is trying to. And how they won the game too with that football to Chase Claypool was a great pass from Trubisky, right? But what concerns me is the inconsistent play of Matt Canada and his play calling abilities, where it's like 2nd and 9 and he runs a reverse or whatever it is, and we get like 3rd and 14. But then one play later, Trubisky converted to Chase Claypool on the sidelines, which was fantastic, right? Maybe it's football. Maybe you just go through the motions. But overall, getting to the red zone, you have to put TDs. But the defense did well enough today where it was a field goal game, right? It was a field goal game to the end, and they went for 2 points like that. They ran down the field, and Tom Brady went for 2, and Devin Bush made the play. Like, come on, man. Overall, it was a great game to see, to see our fellas step up. And it's got to give them a lot of confidence. Now, can you win like that every week? Possibly not. Yeah. But that's the way that game individually, fantastic. No, I was really proud of every single player.
Did you the Pittsburgh Pigeons? I don't know. I had a comment in my live.
See that?
On my live stream that apparently that we put the pigeons in there to confuse Tom Brady. Apparently, that was part of the defensive scheme. Everyone was calling for Austin and Flores to do something slightly different this week. So apparently, it was put the pigeons on the pitch to confuse Brady.
There was like about 30 or 40 pigeons on the field there, eating the grass or whatever. Yeah. One play, I think we saw them flying as Tom Brady was getting sacked or Tom Brady was running backwards. It was kind of cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I think let's talk about the quarterback position. Now, Mark, were you like me when Kenny went down and was taken off? Were you like, oh God, this is only going to go one way?
I was hoping it's not going to be season ending when we don't. Did you find out what's going on with Kenny Pickett? Did you find out?
So what I saw on Twitter, I was checking Twitter during the live stream, and what I saw was that he is a concussion, a suspected concussion. So he was assessed in the medical tent. He was then taken into the locker room, which is standard procedure, and apparently they think he's got concussion, so therefore he was unable to return to the game. So I think that he is going to be in concussion protocol this week. So
nothing's broken, nothing's sore, nothing's.
Initially, I think that's what they're saying. There was a couple of people I read on Twitter tweeting that out. Jenna Harner was one of them. That was what was called out by a few different people, that it was down to concussion, and that's why he was taken off.
All right. So there's a possibility that he may miss next game, right? Versus Dolphins.
So
right.
Overall, though, before that concussion, what did you make of Kenny's performance?
I thought he was playing good. He played well in the first drive, and then they went away from that, right? Well, I talked about, I think, in all the podcasts I've been doing all week, was that, in my opinion, the Steelers had to go 5 wide, 4 wide, and advance the football to DJ, to Claypool, to Pickens, right? They did that the first drive, right? And then they went away. They went away from that. So, and they got the TD to Najee Harris, right? Kenny Pickett's first TD was to Najee Harris. And I guess the streak is now over because Claypool got the receiving touchdown as well. Yeah. But I thought they played pretty well, and then they started to go away. But our defense held us in this game. The defense held us in, and we're good enough to go and get third downs. We're converting on first downs. It was a better called Matt Canada game, maybe one of his best so far, but still his best isn't great scheme-wise, I don't think. But they played real competitively, and we snuck away. Now, when Kenny Pickett went down, I was like, far out, man. Trubisky's coming in. He didn't look too hot. He got sacked a few times. But he had moxie, and he did what you need to do. You need to go in there and finish the game. And they did that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It says the first drive was aggressive, then slowed down to be conservative. It did seem like that to me, and I think they did get away from that. Now, I can't remember who it was on the CBS broadcast that I was watching on Game Pass. He said something along the lines that Tampa Bay made a few adjustments, and that's what made the Steelers move away from what they were doing. But I don't know. I mean, I'd have to watch the All-22 to actually fully assess that comment. But yeah, it did seem really weird that they first drive. We go down there, we put together a long sequence of quality calls and plays, and then suddenly we just stop doing that and move away from that. And Pickett didn't look as fluid maybe after that, but. Do you know what? I'm going to give full credit here to Mitch Trubisky. I thought Mitch Trubisky came in and did exactly what he needed to do today, which was battle, fight, come up with plays at the right time. Those passes that he threw to Claypool over the middle and for the touchdown pass and out onto the touchline, they were like bullets, weren't they, Mark?
He just so he come in there with nothing to lose, right? There was no pressure. Maybe that's where Trubisky might excel. No real pressure. You're back up. You're probably not meant to win that game. When your starter goes down, it's very hard to go and win that game. He went out there. Yes, he got sacked at the start. And we've all been on Trubisky. And you know what? If people were to come after us, and there's a good comment here from Singh saying, hey, Owen and Mark, you know your stuff. We appreciate that. We don't claim to know everything, but we do know our team, right? If you want some good Steelers stuff here, it's the Steelers Syndicate podcast and Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. Other guys out there that chat rubbish have no idea what they're talking about. They don't even know that Jalen Warren was on the team. They can't even pronounce Tyson Alualu's name. They have no idea. And I'm calling you out, chat, because you suck. I keep calling out chat every single week, man. They suck. They have no idea about the team at all. So we know our team. We've been watching for 20 years, and Owen's over 20, 30 years watching. That's 50 years of watching the game going, holy, we understand stuff. So we appreciate those comments. But Trubisky went in there, man. There's no real pressure on him to win that game. Now, They did put him under a bit of spotlight. He did hold the ball a fair few times, but what makes up for all that is he won the game. High snap near the end. We thought we almost lost the game. So close to losing that fumble near the end, but he got it back. He came back to win the game, and that's what you do. You fight through adversity, and I thought it was fantastic.
Definitely. The Jets beat the Packers there, which is a weird game. Lots of comments coming in. Brian Brown said the offense is still bad. The Steelers settled on a field goal from a drive at the start of the 10-yard line. I think that's what we were saying, that converting in the red zone. But I think Mitch Trubisky deserves some props today for what he did coming in.
He does. He really does. He does deserve that.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, let's move on to the onto the running game side of it. I think the running game is still a concern. I think it was something like 70, 80 yards they gained today overall. What do you see as the issue at the moment with the Steelers running game, Mark?
I don't really know. I'm not a running game, not an expert, but it doesn't seem like, I guess, in a nutshell, right? In a big nutshell, they're not beating the guy in front of them, are they? They're not making the key block to push, off the line. They had some good runs in there. I think Najee Harris had a few good 8-yard runs, but maybe the defense doesn't really trust the passing game that much, where they can put more 8 in the box, stuff like that, and they can really start to attack the run. But I don't. They just got to, I guess, stick with it. Stick with Najee, stick with Warren, and see what can happen. Now, if I go to the stats, right, what do we get? 77 yards, I think, overall. I think what did Najee get? Najee got 14, 42, 3-point yard average. Kenny Pickett had some good runs too, right? 8 yards. Claypool had an 8-yard run. Also, and Jalen Warren had 2 runs. You got to think, look, they run the ball 29 times apparently, right? But only 2.7 yards average. Now, one thing I did like, which was kind of funny, they went into a wildcat, and I wouldn't mind seeing. I don't know if that gives Najee Harris more time to see the field because he knows he's getting the ball, right? The defense knows, but that seemed like that play worked. It was 2nd and 5, wildcat down the middle. A lot of times the halfback toss is not working for us, stuff like that. But overall, the big guys up front have to push them. But the O-line played pretty good too. But running game-wise, 2.7 yards is not going to cut it every single week.
See, the Chip makes a point here in the live chat. Najee looked better when we used Derek Watt. We looked even better. There was that play, I think, when they used Watt as a lead blocker, and that did work very effectively, didn't it? I think something you've actually said, I think, a few times on Steelers Nation Australia and on the Syndicate, isn't it, Mark? Something you'd like to see.
Well, I want to see Watt in there, or I want to see someone with a fullback in there. I thought Connor Hayward played well too. But when you start using Watt in there too, I think Watt also made a tackle, so that helps his average for the $400,000 or $500,000 a year that he makes.
Yeah.
So he made a play. But why don't you go to a more set? Sorry, I got body ESPN in my ear. Why don't you go to more of a set where you are using the fullback more? I don't know. The running game needs to improve, but to counteract that argument, right? The passing game was on fire today. It was really on fire in key moments, and we got out with a victory. So you can improve in the stuff. To me, you just got to the big guys up front, got to push them. And once we get the running game going, if the running game starts to go, oh boy, Kenny Pickett to Pickens and those kind of actions are going to. And there was no move today. There was no fry move as well.
Let's talk about the passing game. You know, we'll sort of lump the wide receivers and the tight ends together today. Who stood out for you in that wide receiver room and in that tight end room today?
Chase Claypool. He did, man. He did. I've been on Chase Claypool's back for ages, man. I'm not a big fan of the guy. I don't like TikTok. I'm not a fan, but he was like a silent assassin out there. He celebrated what he needed to. He made big plays, and to me, Chase Claypool was the MVP. Do you agree?
Oh yeah. I mean, if I'm giving out game balls, he's the man I give the game ball to on the offense. I thought he came up big when he needed to. He handled the pressure situations when he needed to. He caught that bullet touchdown pass from Trubisky. It was a fantastic pass from Trubisky. It was a great catch from Claypool. Claypool did today, I think, what Tony Romo said last week that he is capable of. You know, Tony Romo said I'm not a particular fan of Tony Romo, but he did come out and say last week that Chase Claypool has got, and he's not the only one, has got all the attributes to be an absolute beast of a wide receiver.
And he showed it today, dude. He showed it with that catch on the sidelines. He showed it coming back to the football. I think it's me and you or me and Daniel from State of the Steelers, or I don't know who it was, but I think it might have been Daniel or someone. But we've been talking about you got to throw the football to Chase Claypool short, give him the chance to almost be like almost a running back on the swing, you know. And he got the football short, but also he came up in clutch moments where he came back to the football and got the clutch the actually 2 big passes really, the one to the sideline and one over the third. Did you think they're going to make 3rd and 18?
No, I didn't. No way. No way. But Claypool, he just came up. He got that ball. He made a brilliant catch on the sideline. Absolutely superb catch. And you could see today that he was fired up today, Claypool. You could see with his response.
Yeah, man. And he was very content. And I think he held, because I find that the ego is too far big bond himself sometimes. He celebrated when he needed to when we were down by points or whatever. But he ended the game when he was fired up when he needed to. I really respect that play. Now, Am I going to go back on my words and say that he's the worst? No, my words have already been said. My words have been said that he was, in my opinion, one of the worst receivers we've had. But you've proved me wrong, and that is fantastic. Now, will me and Claypool go have a beer together in 10 years' time? Probably not. But he played really well for the Steelers today, and that 3rd and 18 was fantastic. Came back to the football, worked his way in, and then got the first down. I didn't think he was going to make that catch. So Claypool deserved to be, in my opinion, MVP or game ball, and he played number 1 receiving snaps because also they linked up with Kenny Pickett too. Pickens. I'm always going to get that confused throughout the entire time. I really am. Pickens as well linked up. DJ held the football when he needed to, right?
Yeah.
Man, Connor Hayward played a good game.
Yeah, I mean, I want to come on come on to Connor Haywood in a moment. But, if you look at the stats from today's game in terms of the receiving, Chase Claypool, 7 receptions, 96 yards, 13.7 average, 1 touchdown. Deontay Johnson, 5 receptions, 28 yards, 5.6 yards. I thought Deontay came up when he needed to today. I mean, it was that pass breakup that I think he could have got his body across the cornerback a little bit more and disrupted that so he couldn't punch it out. George Pickens, 3 receptions, 27 yards. I did find it a bit strange they didn't use Pickens a little bit more today.
Yeah, they were at the start though too, right?
Yeah.
I remember at the start they were using him a bit more. But maybe that's just how it went because I think Claypool was on fire. So if he's on fire, keep going to him. And that's what maybe had the better matchup too. We don't know this way. He could have had the better matchup on the better corner. But it seemed like he was getting open. And maybe they put all their attention on Pickens and on Deontay, right? Yeah. And also no Fryer move too. I thought overall the receivers played a good game. And you put in Steven Sims too as a receiver, which he is, right? A few things, the reverses, those kind of stuff. Not a big fan of that stuff. But overall, receivers played pretty awesome to get the job done. Mm-hmm. And we won. We won, Owen. You can win. Winning and improving is better than losing and improving.
Now, obviously, one of the stats I left off there when I was reading out the receiving stats was Connor Haywood. Connor Haywood, 2 receptions, 49 yards, 24.5 yards per catch. That reception that he got when he caught and the catch and the run, that was, I think, a reflection of what Connor Haywood can bring to this team. And
he's awesome, man. He's awesome.
He is absolutely awesome, isn't he?
Yeah, and that play too was down the middle of the field as well. So they target the middle of the field more. Trubisky had a free play. He knew he had a free play. $2 of running off the sideline. He knew he had a free play. What do? Go and find someone for a big play because you already know you got 5 yards. You might as well do it.
Yeah, definitely. George Tester says in live chat, the offense really needed to help the defense today, and they did. They did actually hold the ball and drive for longer, which gave the defense the rest they needed. And we'll talk about that defense in a minute. But 2C4D says, I won't expect much from the offensive play calling with Canada ever, but big win goes Steelers.
Exactly.
Now, sorry, Mark, you go.
Well, I'm just saying, exactly. Like the Canada system put us in this hole because we don't know what to expect. It's a bad offense. It has been for ages. Now, are we going to say they're going to go win the Super Bowl? No, we're not. But they played well today. But in the offense there, the offense it's trash. It's not a good offense. It's really bad. But they did what they didn't do to win. And we should celebrate that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk too much about the offensive line today. I think they did a solid job again. The one thing I want to bring up though is Kevin Dotson. Kevin Dotson is really concerning me. He gave up 3 key penalties today. There was a holding penalty where Trubisky got sacked when he didn't even manage to hold the guy, and he eventually let go of him, and he sacked Trubisky. I think he was done. He was done for 3 things anyway, and I know from the Bills game as well, he gave up 2 or 3 penalties. Dotson is someone who realistically should be a leader on that offensive line, given the experience he's coming in, but he's letting himself down a bit at the moment, isn't he?
I didn't know that, so I had no idea. I wasn't paying too much attention that he got 3 penalties. But to me, hopefully you can fix this because I think the O-line is playing good enough to where you can win games. Yeah. I know it sounds crazy, but the O-line is playing good enough where you can go 8-9 or 9-8, right? And for a chance of playoffs. Give him enough time. We saw in that pass of Claypool. You saw Kenny Pickett have a chance. But the big difference is Kenny Pickett, if he has got to come back because he can run that football to get a first down, whereas Trubisky is not going to run. Right now, he had maybe a design route for like a 7-yard play, but when the play breaks down, Trubisky won't run like that. He'll wait for the sack, whereas Kenny Pickett will get out of there. But offensive line, I thought they played pretty good. They let up 2 sacks over than that, so they played all right.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think of this comparison from Brian Harrington? Connor is like a mini Debo.
He's physical, man. He's very, very physical. And he's young too. He's a young fella playing the football game because he plays teams. He plays fullback, he plays tight end. He plays all the hard positions, and that makes you physical. He's going up against what? The big fellas, the defensive ends, the linebackers all the time. He's always in that area. He's going to play physical.
I mean, I think that's probably something he's grown up with, isn't it? I mean, he's probably had his big brother picking on him all through his life, and Cam's a big old unit, and his dad as well, Ironhead. He was another big old unit as well. So he's in
the family, man.
Yeah, definitely a fighting battle. Now, if we sort of think about that Matt Canada offense today, there was I think that the jet sweep was perhaps a little bit too overused today, and some of the handoffs to me seemed almost pedestrian, not fast enough, and too telegraphed. Do you think?
Well, yeah. Sorry, you go.
I was going to say, do you think there's still that element to the Canada system that is too boring, too predictable?
Very much so. That reverse to Sims did need to be there. Whatever it was, we went down to third and something. There was almost a handoff where they didn't read the blocker on the outside. Najee Harris, if they gave the ball to Najee, it could have been a fumble. So Trubisky kept it and he went down. The run game isn't impressive, but when they let the quarterback sling the football like that and get the ball beyond first down, it's much better. Much better.
Definitely. So let's move to the defense. Obviously, this defense today was much depleted. I mean, massively depleted. I mean, if I'd said to you, Mark, before this game today, playing Tom Brady, playing, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Leonard Fournette, Cameron Brate, and said to you, right, here is our defense. You've got no Minkah Fitzpatrick, no Levi Wallace, no Akella Witherspoon. You've got no Cam Sutton. You've got no TJ Watt. What chance would you realistically have given this defense of being able to hold Tom Brady, under 20 points?
I thought they would have scored 35. I thought they would have scored about, 35, 30 points, and it would have been maybe a game 30-27 or something like that. I don't know. Big time. He looked slow out there. So Tom Brady did not take advantage of the secondary. And shout out to the secondary, man. No starters, no Levi, no Wallace. Sorry, Same guy. No, I'm a bit tired. No Witherspoon, right? Yeah. No Minkah. They played well today. They let up. They learned from last week. No big passes. None. Yeah. None.
I'm just going to shout out a couple of players on that secondary. I thought, first of all, and this may be controversial because I know there's parts of Steeler Nation that don't like this guy, and I don't understand it myself. I thought Terrell Edmonds really stepped up today. I thought he played very well.
Not like Terrell Edmonds. Are you joking?
I've heard it too. No, he gets a lot of hate because apparently he misses too many tackles. But I mean, there was plays where today he came up into to support the run defense. He stuffed Leonard Fournette in the backfield. He, was on that breakup in the end zone. To me, I thought Terrell Edmonds really stepped up today and did what he needed to do, knowing that Minkah Fitzpatrick was out. Also Arthur Mollett, I think, had a good game today as well. And I think Josh Jackson, who did a decent job as well, stepping up.
Big time. He did too, man. I thought give shout out to Arthur Mollett too. He made a few plays in the backfield. He made some pass deflection, I think, a few tackles. Miles Jack was in there. The only real key concern for me is still that position next to Miles Jack is Spillane. Why is Spillane playing? This is the kind of game where you're winning. This is the game where Mark Robbins should have been playing. The defense is playing well. What would it hurt to put in Mark Robinson there, cut Spillane for a minute, and let him go do his thing? Spillane did have a big pass breakup, which was cool to see. Now, Malik Reed also played too. We had a lot of fellas who were playing this football game to the best of their ability. Malik Reed went back in zone coverage and put his hand up and knocked the ball away, right?
Yeah.
There is some stuff there. They played the ball in front of them. And also, this is the way that Tom Brady's been playing for the last 3 or 4 years. Everything is in front of the sticks for them, but it used to work and now it's not. It's not working for Brady anymore because he's slow. He's too slow. And once he gets a bit of pressure, he's going to throw a bad football. And the secondary wouldn't allow anything deep. Terrell Edmonds played a great game. I want to go back on there and watch him too because I thought he was playing in the box a little bit too. He was playing back. Trey Norwood played a better game too. The secondary played some good football, and so did Pierre. They were playing on their guys, not letting them get away. But the middle of the field, I think, is kind of a bit of an iffy situation. But overall, the pass deflection by Devin Bush. Did we think that was going to happen? No.
Devin Bush, I thought, did well again today. He did a good job. But I think you're right. You're 100% right. You're 100% right on Robert Spillane, though, mate. He blew a number of coverages again. He stank it up again, and I really do wonder what he's got on Mike Tomlin to keep getting on game day. Really
he had one good pass deflection, which I thought was pretty good, but it still looked like he was beating that scenario. But another time too, I think the tight end went up the seam as well, and he got beat again. He does get consistently beat more than he makes the plays. But what I'm saying is, why wouldn't they put Mark Robinson in there? I believe they did dress him. You put him in. You put him next to Miles Jack. You put him in a situation. Maybe they didn't have him ready for this game, like certain scenarios. But I guess Spillane does know this defense. He does. but he's a weak link in that defense. But everyone else stepped up around him to then have a chance to win this game, and that's exactly what they did. Guys like Josh Jackson, we didn't even know who this guy is. Now, they made a big play too. Elijah Riley, they got the 4th down. Sure, these guys aren't playing, though. They snuck away, and I think key parts in key moments, like the Devin Bush knockdown, told everyone the Steelers can do this.
Definitely, 100% agree with you on that. I thought we put more pressure on Brady today as well. I thought the pass rush was a lot better today than it had been against the Bills. One player who stood out for me, Mark, on the defensive line today was Larry Ogunjobi. What did you make of Larry Ogunjobi's performance today?
Big time as well, man. He was getting the backfield as well as holding guys up. He made some plays too. He made some tackles in the backfield as well. I thought even Chris Wormley made a big tackle, right? The guys just seemed like maybe there was a players meeting. There might have been something going on. The team looked different, right? Now, can you score 20 every week and win? Probably not. But they look different. Ogunjobi had some good stuff going on. He also got hurt, I think, near the end, right? He got hurt, then he came back.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he hurt his back or something and then came back, yeah.
He played well, and he's turning into what he played for the Ravens and the Browns or someone.
Browns
who
and
are they?
Bengals.
Browns and Bengals or whatever. And now he plays for the Steelers. He's turned into a guy, right? He's turned into a guy that the Steelers can get around. And I think Cameron Haywood shook everyone this week and said, you know what, we're a better defense. And they're a young team too. And they all led by example. Like the key guys to me were Cameron Haywood, Miles Jack, and Terrell. Those are the dudes that were like getting everything set. And of course, Highsmith too. He made a big play on Brady, right? He caused that fumble. I think it was him.
He did hit him. Yeah, it was him. Yeah, he hit him from behind. And I don't know whether you saw on the slow-mo, but Brady's face, the look of surprise on his face when he got smashed in the back by Highsmith was almost poetic. I'd love to take a picture of that, blow it up and put it on my wall.
That's the one thing, right? Because they got the football back, they wouldn't throw the flag and say it was an incomplete pass. Now, if they lost that fumble, the old tuck rule comes into concern.
Yeah.
But because they went forward with the ball, or wherever the ball lands, you pick it up. But that was a great play too. They got to him. They pressured him. I thought on the other side of the ball, Fournette was running the football well, but there was no big plays that put the Steelers in a bad spot. I believe we led the whole way, right? Did we not?
We did.
We led the whole game. What, the first time since when? I don't even know. That stat will come out this week. The first time we led the whole game. I don't know when we did that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so if we were going to go, so we've sort of said offensive MVP, offensive game ball goes to Chase Claypool. Who would your defensive game ball go to?
Oh man, there's so many people who could choose. I think. Do I say is it a collective thing over the whole game or is it one play?
Wherever you decide, your game ball to give out your rules.
You know what? To pump the team up, if I was a coach, I'd give it to Devin Bush for that last play.
Yeah.
That's 2018. You knock that down, you're a game ball.
Yeah.
But that's what I think. I think overall, he played a good game, but he gets burned a bit too. But that last bit, with come crunch time, and football is like this. Like the other team's got to play too. They got to play too. Yeah. So in that crunch time, he cut the route. I think it was Goodwin, knocked it down. 2018. Let's go. That's a game ball for me.
Yeah, I mean, I was impressed as well with Miles Jack. I thought in coverage he was great, in run stuffing he was great. Miles Jack's been a fantastic acquisition for the Steelers. But I've got to say, I agree with what Brian Harrington's got to say. My game ball goes to Terrell Edmonds. I thought Edmonds played. He stepped up. He played really, really well. He showed us what we were missing in Buffalo last week when he was out injured with concussion protocol. So, and especially as he's someone who gets a lot of stick and he does have some element of the Steelers fan base who don't like him because he was a first-round pick and people call him a bust because he's not, I think if he'd been a second-round pick, everyone would love him. But because he was that first-round pick, then I think, people criticize him. But for me, I thought today he stepped up and he was brilliant today. So for me, defensive game ball would go to Terrell Edmonds.
You know what he does for me? He keeps everyone calm. He keeps everyone calm back there. I noticed his communication is good with the fellas. And we saw it today when he was out last week, the big plays, right? He's getting everyone in position too. He's talking to Norwood. He's talking to the cornerbacks. He's getting everyone in position. Honestly, if I had time, I haven't got time, but I would. If I had time, right, you could go back and watch the whole game just watching him, and I bet you he's organizing everyone on the defense to get together. Yep. He's a leader in that team. He's a leader in the secondary, And yes, everyone wants to put so much flack on him. He's been pretty good as a Steeler and what he needs to be. With Minka back there, with Minka in this game, boy, oh boy, with Minka in this game making plays too, it could have been 20 to 13. It could have been 20 to 10, right? The defense did well enough and they got off the field. Sure, they allowed a touchdown near the end, but they got off the field. I thought Edmonds played a good game. And without him last week, secondary was trash, was burnt. Within this week, they played some really good football.
Definitely. Say hello to Jerry Cherryband. Obviously, one of the first times I think joined the Syndicate podcast. Hey, Jerry. Brian Harrington says Kenny gets an honorary game ball for being tough as nails on offense. Yeah, taking that hit, and I think I think one thing I think we've got to remember, going back again to the offensive minutes, going back to Pickett. Yes, I know Trubisky came in and effectively sealed the win today. He was kind of like the closer, like the Mariano Rivera. Those of you remember who Mariano Rivera was, the closer for the Yankees. But Pickett is still a rookie. He's still learning. He's still developing in the NFL. And I think that is something we saw today, a continuation of that journey. Mark, do you what I mean? What do you mean?
I think so. There's there are people who are calling Kenny Pickett a bust, beyond crazy. And like I say, you're only watching highlights. He's played 6 quarters. I thought he played pretty well before he got injured. And I think Kenny Pickett might have scored more points actually near the end. I think it might have been 27, something like that. And maybe because I can see him near the end if he's down by 4 minutes to go. I can see him running his legs. I can see him, getting the team back in order. But Trubisky did exactly what a backup needs to do: go out there and play well enough for a chance to win. And they did that, and he played beyond. Now, is there going to be quarterback controversy?
Yeah,
no. If I see a certain channel named "You lose a chat," say, is there quarterback controversy? I'm going to lose my marbles.
Yeah.
There is no. I'm going to ask you: is there quarterback controversy right now? Should Trubisky be the starter?
No.
No.
You can see it though, can't you? You know, Mark, as well as I do. You know what Steelers social media is like this week. You know what Steelers Twitter and Steelers Facebook is like. You know it's going to come up there, Mark.
I know it's going to come up, but you can't do that. You have to ride with Kenny the whole year. You have to do it, man. You have to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he did.
Called you Mary.
hey, man. You can call me Mary all you want. Just don't call me an idiot. Now, he did play well. Claypool's my MVP. So at the very start, Jerry, we talked about that. I thought he was called us Brits.
Me, Brits, mate.
That's worse than calling me an idiot. No, I'm joking. Listen, Claypool played fantastic. Now, am I on the Claypool train? No way, Jose. But I do believe he played a good game. And when you play bad, you've got to be criticized for playing bad. But he stepped up. He controlled his ego. He made big catches. He made clutch catches. 3rd and 19, he shouldn't have won that. Hey, now they're just getting smart.
They're getting personal, mate, aren't they?
Hey, easy.
You know what? One win and everyone gets so cocky and confident.
That's it. Yeah, man. That's it.
One of the players just come to mind. Actually, you want to touch on James Pierre. What did you make of James Pierre's performance today?
I thought he played well too. Did he play teams too or not? Didn't play teams.
Yeah, I think he did actually. Yeah,
he played teams as well. I thought he played it's funny, isn't it? Isn't it funny when you give someone the responsibility to play starter, they actually play better? Now, when you give him a backup role and he's coming in every now and then he's out there chilling and he makes a lot of errors. But he played well enough where he was making tackles. He played, covering the receivers well enough. I don't know what the biggest catch for the receivers were. Maybe it was like 20. It was more down the for the defense. Oh, yeah. It was more down the middle of the field that Tom Brady was targeting the running backs and that kind of stuff. He didn't really go any shots to the end. And maybe to a certain degree that this offense of Tom Brady, they can't do that. Maybe they don't trust Tom Brady enough like they used to set back there and launch a ball 60 yards. You don't see it very often with Tom Brady. You see the check down Charlies for Tom Brady. But I thought Pierre played pretty well. And he played well enough as a starter. Might have been maybe his first start. I don't know if it's his first start or not, but he played away. Played okay.
Yeah. I mean, Matt in the live chat says no one underestimates Terrell Edmonds. What we said earlier. Why though, with 46 seconds left in the first half, does Canada not run the clock out instead of give away 3 points? Yeah, I did. I must say, I was a bit perplexed by that. Why we just didn't kneel it out and take it, and why we went 3-and-out and then punted the ball and let the Bucks come down and score that 3 points. That did perplex me a little bit.
Yeah, there's some of the things I think with the time management is kind of frustrating too. We've seen that throughout the whole Steelers, franchise has been like that with Tomlin, right? They don't seem to get those things correct. But what I did appreciate was near the end, right? They've run the football as best they could, and then they used Tom Brady's timeouts, and they knew the game was over. Yeah. So on one end, and I want to grab this start too. A lot of people keep calling for. Look, I still believe they should be getting rid of Canada, right? Yeah. I do believe that. I'm not going to jump ship on that, right? I think he's been an awful coach for the Steelers. Can he get better? 100%. Can Claypool get better? 100%, right? But a lot of guys now putting the criticism on fire. Tomlin, going to be a very, very quiet week. Very quiet week. Now, was it the best win in history? Probably not, but it was a great win. Came away with 2018, and they did what they needed to do. And Alex says here, can we win conservatively? Don't know, but it seemed to work this week with all your players out, all your secondary out. We should have been burnt today. So as much hate as Tomlin gets for fired Tomlin, on the same end, he needs to get respect. I own up to what I just said about Claypool. I don't like Claypool, but he played well today. He played really well, and he's my MVP. And same with Canada. Not a big fan of Canada, but the game plan worked today. It was getting the ball early and often to Claypool, getting Connor Hayward involved, getting Pickens and DJ and Claypool involved too. It worked. The game plan worked today. So as much hate that goes towards Tomlin and fire Tomlin, he needs to deserve respect. He just beat Tom Brady at home with a bad secondary with no move. But you won't hear it. You'll hear crickets.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think you touched on what I was about to ask today, but I think, do you feel that the coaches today, mainly the defensive coaches, obviously, Austin, Tomlin, Flores, did they actually today scheme conservatively, but they schemed for what they had out on the field?
I think so. If we go back and watch it, and from memory, right, Tom Brady was going to more the middle of the field. He's checking down the running backs. That was always pretty much covered up most of the time. The big plays came over the middle linebackers and safeties when the tight ends were getting involved, right? They schemed up very well, I thought. There was no big plays, nothing be over their head. Comes down to the leadership of Edmonds, comes down to Cameron Hayward and those guys stepping up. They started to rush 4, right? A few times they were rushing Millette on the side too. And we had no Cameron Sutton too. A lot of guys were out. Exactly, 110%. So as bad. If we're going, okay, if we're being reactionary for game by game, quarter by quarter, play by play, everyone's saying fire Tomlin. You're going to be quiet this week because he won this week and he deserves that win. You just beat Tom Brady at home. Tom Brady has a 9-4 record now against the Steelers. So great win. Their defense stepped up, and I think as well schematically because we didn't have any trust in Josh Jackson or Pierre or who's the other bloke, Arthur Millette. We had no trust in those guys, and Trey Norwood too. No trust in him. He gave up the big play last week. Trey Norwood, huge play for 98 yards. He bit. Now you bring back Edmonds, you bring back more guys. Now the weakest players I saw today was guys like Spillane in the middle of the field. That was the weakest area. But they gave up the short plays because they didn't want to surrender the big plays and kill momentum. And they got off on third downs. The run defense is much better too. This is a big, big win and respect for Tomlin. And you won't hear him say it. I can apologize and go back on my words a little bit and say Claypool did well, Canada did well, but you won't hear anyone say Tomlin deserved that victory. You won't hear it.
I mean, one final question before we get our final thoughts in, Mark. Is this victory something we can now build on and go into the next 2 weeks against the Dolphins in Miami and against the Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field with confidence that we can actually get a result over these next 2 games?
If this doesn't fire the Steelers players up, I don't know what will. You beating Tom Brady at home doesn't fire you up to go and play the Miami Dolphins, who are a good team too. Did they win today, the Dolphins, or not?
They lost, I think, to the Vikings. Trey will be happy.
We got, true. We got, I think Tua's coming back next week. Yeah. This, to me, is a big win because you can rally behind this. It gives Claypool confidence. It gives DJ confidence. It gives confidence guys like Muth and guys like TJ. Oh, by the way, the first win without TJ, right? The first win, right? This gives the team confidence saying you can win without your stars. Now, also, what's going to happen is, too, Witherspoon, Wallace, and all the guys out for injury, if they don't come back or they do come back, you need to step it up because you know you have guys behind you that can play football. Now they've got to back it up too. This makes the whole team accountable, in my opinion. The backups want to play like this forever. They want to play some good football to earn their roster and earn their keep and get paid money. That's what they want to do. The guys who miss time want to get healthy and play better as a starter to earn their keep too. Makes everyone accountable. It definitely does. Like without Minka, without TJ, they played fantastic and they got away with a win.
Steelers radio is reporting that Kenny doesn't play next week. I think it's too early to take that summation. You can't.
I don't know.
I respect what you've got to say. I respect that, Matt, fully, that that's something you've heard. Yeah, concussion protocol. But it does seem, I think there is a stricter concussion protocol now. So I'm not 100% sure how that's changed since the Tua Tagovailoa incident. But I think a lot seems how he progresses this week through that. But yeah, end of the day, I think it is something we can build on. Definitely, Mark. Definitely going forward against, obviously, 2 tough games still against the Dolphins and the Eagles. So, Mark, just to bring it together to summarize our post-game show tonight, Mark, what are your final thoughts on today's game?
What a bloody good win. I know they're short and sweet, but I've been talking a lot. What a bloody good win, right? What a win. Now, this is the point. You have to cherish and celebrate your success. As much as you dwell in your sadness, you need to celebrate your success. That's why we support the team. The team went out there and beat Brady. They played some good football, and they won the game. Devin Bush near the end, Claypool, Trubisky, they all did fantastic stuff. But if I do hear the notion of Kenny Pickett is going to be replaced by Trubisky, I will lose my marbles.
Definitely. Yeah,
what about you?
William Duffy says linebackers and corners stepped up. Yeah, I think my final thoughts just a little bit around that. I'm proud that the team came out today and showed something that I think we all called for last week. We called for heart, we called for guts, we called for fight. I called them spineless, I called them gutless, I called them weak last week because they were. But I can take that back this week because they went out there, they fought, they showed pride in that jersey, they were proud to be Pittsburgh Steelers. And they actually played like Pittsburgh Steelers today.
They did. They really did.
And that's part of what we demand. Win, lose, or that horrible tie situation. As long as they go out and they play like Pittsburgh Steelers and fight, we can kind of forgive them a loss. We can forgive them a tie.
One question before we go. If they lost today, how would you have felt? It would have felt hard, right? But still, you would have been like, they played pretty good.
Yeah, if they'd lost today, if Brady, let a sort of fourth quarter come back and they'd lost 25, or 23-20 or something like that. Yeah, I would have felt very hard done to because I think they deserved that win today. They fought hard, they battled, they scrapped for every inch. They from that any given Sunday speech, they clawed for every inch today, and I think they deserve to it definitely.
It was the pass deflections. It was the rush. I think they got into sack twice. It was the good scheme. I thought Tomlin kept his cool in certain situations. The team was ready to play this week, and we've seen how many times, Owen, have we seen this team not be ready for games? They were counted out, and they were ready for this game. They were 9 points underdog, and they came out there to win. And they did. Cherry. Wait, I can't pronounce it. Cherry Brand.
Yeah.
I'm too tired. Jerry's right, dude. They played with some heart, and that's what they need to do, man. And Williams like, how about Trubisky? Exactly. Everyone stepped up. And, of course, the big splash plays of Steven Sims, dude, punt returns, got him in position to kickoff returns. Like, you go down the field and you get a kickoff return. Like, it is momentum game. It powers everyone up. The defense could rest on the sidelines. Everyone's tackling hard, too. I didn't see – did you see too many missed tackles that were kind of like, oh –
No, not today. I thought everyone put it
rallied,
in
right? They all rallied.
Definitely. Well, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, it has been a pleasure talking to you again today. I know it was great on my live stream today. I'm sure Mark's was as well. And it's been great talking to you in the post-game show. Thank you to everybody who's joined in the live chat. Some fantastic questions, thoughts, comments. Really does make this worthwhile. And, Mark and I love, interacting with you. We love your comments, your questions, your thoughts. On our videos and on our content. And guys, keep coming back this week. Obviously, loads to go over this week as we build up towards the Miami game next week. So keep checking out the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate for all your videos, all your Steeler needs, all your Steeler news, views, and updates.
Just one last question. Is it time for Trubisky to take Kenny Pickett's spot? Find out next time on the Steelers Syndicate podcast. You won't hear that here. You will not hear that here.
And you will not hear type Y for yes and N for no in the live chat.
Type yes if it's time for Trubisky to start. You will not hear that here. You will not hear that.
No. Okay, then. So, guys, thank you so much for things. Mark, do you want to see us out, mate?
Yep. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.